Welcome to our channel. Brace yourself for a gripping exploration into the dark depths of one of America's most notorious serial killers. Rodney Alcala was born in San Antonio, Texas. He had a troubled childhood and a history of criminal behavior. Alcala joined the military but was discharged after suffering a nervous breakdown. He later attended UCLA, where he pursued a degree in fine arts. Crimes. Rodney Alcala's crimes spanned from the late 1960s to the 1970s. He is known for his brutal murders and sexual assaults, primarily targeting young women. Alcala's modus operandi involved luring victims through charm and manipulation, often using photography as a pretext. Alcala's crimes came to public attention in 1979 when he was arrested for the murder of Robin Samsu, a 12-year-old girl. Subsequent investigations connected him to several other unsolved cases, leading to additional charges and convictions. It is believed that Alcala's actual victim count may be much higher than officially confirmed. Capture and legal proceedings. Rodney Alcala faced multiple trials for his crimes. He was convicted and sentenced to death in 1980 for the murders of Robin Samsu, Jill Barcombe, Georgia Wixted, Charlotte Lamb, and Jill Parenteau. However, his conviction was overturned twice, leading to retrials. Alcala's legal proceedings were protracted and complex. He represented himself during parts of the trials, which allowed him to cross-examine victims and witnesses, leading to disturbing courtroom encounters. Alcala was eventually sentenced to death multiple times, but he remained on death row until his death in 2021. Psychological profile. Rodney Alcala exhibited psychopathic traits characterized by a lack of empathy, charm, and manipulative behavior. He used his charisma and talent for photography to gain the trust of his victims, making them vulnerable to his sadistic acts. Alcala's crimes were marked by extreme violence and sexual sadism. Legacy. Rodney Alcala's case garnered significant media attention and earned him the moniker Dating Game Killer due to his appearance as a contestant on the television show The Dating Game in 1978. His story has been the subject of numerous documentaries and true crime media, highlighting the devastating impact he had on his victims and their families. It is important to approach the topic of serial killers with sensitivity and respect for the victims and their families. Their stories and experiences should be central to any discussion about such cases. Here are a couple of theories surrounding Rodney Alcala. Narcissistic and control theory. One theory suggests that Rodney Alcala's crimes were driven by his narcissistic personality and desire for control. Alcala exhibited a sense of superiority and entitlement, using his charm and charisma to manipulate and control his victims. This theory posits that Alcala derived pleasure and a sense of power from exerting control over his victims, which fueled his sadistic and violent tendencies. Photography and fantasy theory. Another theory explores the role of photography in Rodney Alcala's crimes. Alcala used his skill as a photographer to gain the trust of his victims and create a sense of intimacy. It is believed that Alcala may have used photography as a means to fulfill his fantasies and act out his sadistic desires. This theory suggests that his crimes were a distorted manifestation of his fantasies, as he used his victims as subjects in his disturbing and violent scenarios. These theories aim to provide possible insights into the motivations and psychological factors that may have influenced Rodney Alcala's actions. However, it is important to note that the study of serial killers is complex, and definitive explanations may be elusive. The true motivations and underlying psychological complexities of individuals like Rodney Alcala can be challenging to fully comprehend. Speculating on what would have happened if Rodney Alcala hadn't existed involves contemplating a hypothetical scenario that can never be definitively known. However, we can explore some potential outcomes. Lives saved. If Rodney Alcala hadn't existed, the lives of his victims would have been spared. The young women he murdered and assaulted, such as Robin Samsu, Jill Barcombe, Georgia Wixted, Charlotte Lamb, and Jill Parenteau, would have had the opportunity to live their lives free from the horrific fate they suffered at his hands. Their families and loved ones would have been spared the pain and grief caused by his crimes. Prevention of future crimes. Without Rodney Alcala's presence, the likelihood of additional victims falling prey to his manipulations and violence would have been significantly reduced. His absence would have disrupted the pattern of his crimes and potentially prevented the suffering and loss experienced by others. Impact on legal proceedings. Rodney Alcala's case and subsequent legal proceedings had a significant impact on the criminal justice system. His trials and the issues that arose, such as his representation and courtroom encounters, led to changes in courtroom procedures. Without his presence, the specific legal developments stemming from his case might have unfolded differently or through other cases involving different individuals. Cultural influence. Rodney Alcala's case gained considerable media attention and became part of true crime lore. If he hadn't existed, the specific cultural impact surrounding his story might have been different. Documentaries, books, and films inspired by his life might have taken on different themes or shifted focus to other notorious criminals. It is important to remember that any speculation about alternative outcomes is purely hypothetical. Rodney Alcala's crimes caused immeasurable pain and suffering, and our focus should remain on the victims and their families. Understanding the potential implications of his absence helps highlight the ripple effects of his actions, but it is impossible to fully grasp the intricacies of what might have transpired in a world without his crimes. Thank you for joining us on this chilling journey into the dark realm of serial killers. We hope this video has provided you with valuable insights and a deeper understanding of these complex and haunting figures. If you found this content thought-provoking and informative, we would greatly appreciate your likes, comments, and shares